Good morning, ladies. We are back again at our favorite place at the beach. This is doula Marita Joyce, and I want to talk to you guys today about natural birth and some of the obstacles to natural birth. Okay, so a lot of times when clients hire me, the great majority of time, I have clients who want natural births, but they want to have these natural births in the hospital. And one of the main things I hear is either from second or third time moms who've had multiple children, let's just put it that way, is that last time they had their baby, or at some point they had a birth, and they wanted less interventions, or they didn't want any interventions, or they opted out of interventions. Their birth preferences were to not have this or that intervention. And somehow they found themselves still going through with the intervention, okay? And this is not to say that it's anyone's fault, all right? So I'm not trying to point blame here. What I'm trying to do is get you guys to see that it's not necessarily about what you say you want, okay? There is some space between your desires, your birth preferences, and your birth plan, and the reality of what might play out during birth. So the first thing is birth is unpredictable and in some aspects uncontrollable. So I always kind of want my clients to keep in mind that surrender is a huge part of birth, and this can be the hardest for us because we tend to get what we want. We live in a microwave society. We tend to not only get what we want, but we tend to get it very quickly. Our brains and our psychology has been primed for immediate results based on what we do. For instance, if you live in the modern world, you can have food right away. You can go through a drive-through and have food within minutes. This was not a part of human history in the past, okay? You would have to go out, you would have to scour for food, you would have to hunt for it. Sometimes you may or may not find food. You might have to migrate to a different area to get it. It was a lot more work than what we have to do nowadays to get food, right? This applies to many, many other things, and I think because most of us have experienced this great majority of our lives, depending on how old you are, it's hard for us to imagine having to go days looking for something that we can literally pick up our phone and within minutes have someone even at our doorstep with food. Uber Eats and all of the different apps that we have where we can order food and have it almost instantly. If you have a microwave, you can pull something out of your freezer and within 30 seconds or, I don't know, a minute or two, you could have warm food to eat. So this is, again, priming our brains for immediate results based on our actions. And we have, in a lot of ways, begin to believe that all we have to do is will something to be and it shall be. And I think it's glorious that we live in a world where we can have things, and as long as we put forth the work, we can get what we want. But it doesn't necessarily always work that way with birth. Birth is not Amazon. It's not going to deliver to your doorstep something just because you want it or you can afford it, or you put it on your list, your Amazon list, or in your basket or whatever, that we do when we order things online. Birth does not work that way. And this is one of the hardest things for us to overcome, in my opinion, because we just don't understand why, if I have this in my birth plan as one of my birth preferences, why is it that I cannot get it? So birth is multifactorial. It's very complex. For one, birth is not just dependent on you and your body. It's also dependent on your baby and what your baby does. So your baby and your body work together to deliver your baby, okay? So that's the first thing. So you can be willing, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. So keep that in mind. So let's go back to surrender. So surrendering does not mean that you're giving up what you want. What it means is that you are living in the moment. So from the moment you realize you're in labor, it's a good idea to surrender and live in the moment. Because if you are not, okay, for instance, I'll give you a prime example. One of the things I see very often is a mother will realize she's in labor and immediately she's ready to go. She's ready to go, you know? And I get it. You've been pregnant a long time. Most women are pregnant almost a year. It's a very, very long time to be waiting to meet your baby, to be waiting to get off the extra weight, to get back to normal routine. Even the things that we eat is altered when we're carrying a baby. So yes, you really want to get back to your normal life. Most women want to get back to their normal clothing. They want to get back to their normal lifestyle. Okay. But becoming a mother is a transition. It is a change. Even if you already have kids, every birth is different. Every birth and every child is going to change your life in a different way. So as women, we go from maidens to mothers, okay? And it is a transition, it is a change. And if you already are a mother, you know your life is never the same after you have a baby. Excuse me. It's very dry out today. And of course I'm at the beach, so. But yeah, excuse me for that. So we go from maiden to mother. And even if you already are a mother, each subsequent child is still going to change your life. It's still going to be new. Every child is an individual. They're different. They may have different sleeping patterns, different eating patterns. Most of the things are similar. There's a similar pattern. But again, each baby is an individual. You might get a child that's completely relaxed, easy to soothe, and then you may get another child that is a bit fussy, right? Which could cause you to lose a little bit more sleep, things like that. So it's different. So your experience is going to be different. So what I see a lot is that as soon as a mother is in labor, she's ready to go. She wants it to happen yesterday. It's very important, if you want this natural birth, for you to surrender. Surrender to your birth, surrender to time. So time, you're going to constantly hear me talk about time, because time can either be your friend or your enemy in birth. When you realize you're in labor, if you really want to have a natural birth, sitting with it, learning how to sit with the fact that yes, I'm in labor, but also realizing that it's going to take time for my body to deliver this baby. Not only do I have to wait on my body and surrender to my body, I have to actually wait on my baby. So the baby is in control of the birth. You are not in control of the birth. And this is a really, really hard concept for us as women to wrap our minds around. We want to be in control of the birth. So especially when we start to experience discomfort. Now we really want to take control of this thing, because if I can take control of this, then I can minimize my suffering. I can minimize my discomfort. I can minimize my anxiety about this birth. I can minimize, perhaps even minimize any undue outcomes, right? It's not true. The more you try to control it, and the more anxious and uptight you become, the worse things can get. For instance, your body is made to surrender to birth, to give in to birth, to relax. This is how babies are born. You have a lot of hormones that are at play. And we know that one of the main hormones is oxytocin. And oxytocin is a feel-good hormone. So if you can imagine, if you're trying to control the situation, if you're clenching up, if you are anxious, if you are running around and you're worried, and your body may deem that it's not safe to have a baby. And labor can stall. You can stall out your labor because you're not getting enough of those good feel-good hormones going, and your body presumes that it's unsafe. And nature is very smart. You know, back in the day, if we were in the wilderness like our ancestors were, and you were in labor and a lion or a tiger showed up, there was some danger that presented itself, then that would be keeping you and the baby safe. Because if you had a baby in that moment, you would be incapacitated to run or to defend yourself and this baby, because you just delivered a baby. So you're vulnerable. So if you think about that in terms of modern times, fear and being uptight and trying to control and anxiety works against birth. So surrender is really important, and allowing time to do what it does. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but every wave, just like the waves of the ocean, is helping you. This is a different type of discomfort from injury discomfort. Injury discomfort is to tell us that something is wrong. If we break our arm or our leg, this is our body's way, and it's going to hurt. Our body is telling us, hey, you need to pay attention to this. There's something that's happened here. You need to take care of this. But with birth, it's different. The discomfort that you feel is actually helpful. And it's hard for us to sometimes reconcile with that. So the work starts prior to birth. In your pregnancy, we have to begin to train your mind, okay, to think of birth in terms of the discomfort of birth in terms of being a helping discomfort and not a hurting discomfort, if that makes any sense. Please don't mind the pun. But yeah, so the waves are helping, okay? Every wave is getting you closer to meeting your baby. This is what this discomfort is about. The discomfort that you feel, you will feel it in your growing area. You will feel it in, sometimes women feel it in their vagina. You may feel it in your backside. You may feel it in your bottom, like in your anal and perineal area. You will feel it in your back sometimes. You will feel tightening around the back of your waist and in the front of your stomach. These are all a part of helping you to get your baby to you. This is not a sign that you are in danger. However, your brain may interpret it that way. So you're at home and labor kicks off and you're like, okay, something's going on here. Either your water breaks or you start to have contractions. Maybe you're asleep and you wake up out of your sleep and notice that whereas you usually have normal, like Braxton Hicks, these are different, or you start to feel different. Maybe you get a bout of diarrhea, or you just start to feel sick, or you just don't feel like yourself. Something's going on. So you get the clue that you're probably in labor. This is not the time to think, oh, okay, let me get going. No, unless your water is broken and you can feel like you need to push, then of course now you know, okay, something is really going on and I do need to get going. But if you're just going through the early stages, okay, and we will talk about the stages of labor so you can kind of identify what's going on with your body. If you're going through the early stages of labor and you realize you're in labor, I know it's an exciting thing. I know that in that moment you can become very, very hyper focused on the fact that you're about to have a baby. Please, 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 if you want to have a natural birth, try to remain calm. One of the best things you can do in that moment is find something to occupy your time. A lot of women will go running off to the hospital, and if that is what you want to do, by God, do it, okay? If that's what makes you feel the most comfortable, I'm never going to tell you don't go to the hospital. However, I will tell you that if your goal is to have a natural birth, you need to remain calm in the beginnings of your labor. It is going to take time, and it does take time. Now, there are instances where women will have a really, really fast labor, and it will happen extremely fast. And you will know because it will kick up, and your discomfort will kick up so that you will know that, hey, something's awry here, okay? You will also contact your provider. So the moment you think that something is going on, contacting your provider could be a good idea. You have to make that decision. I can't make it for you. But that's a good idea. Even if it's in the early stages, sometimes a lot of moms like to do it because it kind of puts your provider on notice that you're going to deliver soon. and it can help them to prepare for you. Keeping in mind that they do a lot of times have other patients. So it kind of helps your provider to sort of prepare. Okay, start preparing for you. So that's just gives them a heads up, right? Even though you know you're not going to instantly have the baby, it may not happen even in the next couple of hours, but it does give your provider advance notice. Also contacting me so that I know and that I can start to prepare for you. A lot of my contracts include that you need to contact me right away and you need to give me at least 2 hours to get to you. Now, will I come to you immediately? It depends on what's happening. It depends on what's happening, but we generally will begin talking and my support will begin at that moment. So yes, I will begin supporting you immediately. We can talk about some of the things that we talked about in our prenatal meetings and some things that you can begin to do. Now, I'll give you some examples of things that I give moms to do in that early stages for a form of distraction and to stay relaxed. Oftentimes I will meet with my clients and I will have a goodies bag. And in my goodies bag, I have a bunch of stuff in there that you can choose from. And a lot of times I have cookie cutters in there because a lot of my clients like to bake. They enjoy baking, and baking cookies is a great idea, or baking anything that you love. Making food is a great idea when you're in the early stages of labor. It's a great distraction, and you can have those goodies to bring to your labor to snack on in the early stages if you want. Okay, oftentimes I will bring goodies as well because, believe it or not, when you call me to tell me you're in labor, I'm excited and ready to go too. And you will see that. I can get very excited because I know that a baby is about to be born, and I do this work because I love it. So absolutely every single baby, it doesn't matter if I witness 1,000 of them, each one of them never gets boring. It's always exciting to me. And especially if you call me in the middle of the night, 9 times out of 10, you know, this advice that I'm giving right now about getting excited is really for me as well, because if you call me in the middle of the night, and I encourage you to, even if you go in labor and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, call me. I'm on call at 37 weeks for the majority of my clients. Even for you guys that I'm not on call for, call me. If you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm probably not going to be able to go back to sleep because I get so excited. I will try to go back to sleep because I need to rest so that I can be at my best for you, but it will be difficult for me. So I'm not even having the baby and I'm excited. So I know how excited you guys are when you know your baby is about to come and you're about to meet your baby. But I encourage you to do things. So the goodie bag will have all sorts of goodies in it. When I meet with you for next to your last or your last prenatal, you'll get a chance to go into that bag and find something that can keep you occupied. Now, some of you may already have in your birth plan what you're going to do. You may plan to stay home and have your husband to give you a relaxing massage. You may have a plan to walk the beach. You may have a plan to do something that you've already prepared. And throughout your birth planning process, I'll be encouraging you to think about the things you enjoy and to find various things to keep you occupied in those early hours. Because if you desire a natural birth, you're gonna need to be able to labor somewhat at home, okay? So I see women that go to the hospital, they go early. Again, nobody can tell you when's the time to go. You have to choose for yourself when that best time is. But I've seen women go too early and they get there and they get sent home. And then they go back again and they get there, they get checked and they get sent home. And this can become very frustrating for you. So if you're going too early, sometimes it can make you lose your steam. Birth is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So you want to keep not only your physical self in condition for the long haul, but you want to keep your mental up. You can imagine what happens to you, the disappointment when you've gone to the hospital 3 times and 3 times you've been sent back home because you're only 2 centimeters dilated. And the hospital has a parameter for when they will admit you, because they know that it's probably going to take a long time for the baby to come. But they're going to accept you. If you come in there, they'll check you out. They're going to see you. They're going to check you out. They're going to do all the things. But if you're not quite ready yet, you might get sent back home. So you can spare yourself some of that disappointment and that letdown by pacing yourself. by really paying attention and learning the stages of labor, and also learning your body. If you're a second or third time mom, you probably already kind of know the path and the pattern that your body takes. If you're a first time mom, it might be a little bit more difficult. We will talk about what that can look like for you. But again, you and your partner will be the final say on when you go to the hospital, when you do whatever. Please call me immediately. Please call your provider immediately, okay? Just to let us know and to give us a heads up about what is going on so that we can start to prepare for supporting you. And with your provider, if you have any questions, when you make that call, you can ask those questions at that time, okay? If you decide to call your provider early on, you can make the decision of whether or not you want to ask questions, and you can do that. And I really don't know what those questions might be. It's different for every mother. Some moms have questions about what's going on with them in that moment. A lot of hospitals have a nurse call line, or you can call labor and delivery and kind of ask them the questions. So talk to the medical staff and refer to them for anything that's going on in the moment. And then call me and just let me know that you think you're in labor so that I can start to prepare to support you. But the early stages and the beginning, when you first realize that you're in labor, this is a time to start to relax, to start to do whatever it is that you need to do. For me, if I were in labor, the first thing I would want to do when I realize I'm in labor is pray. That's just me. I would want to pray because I want to prepare myself spiritually for welcoming my baby. And prayer is something that is relaxing to me, and it connects me with God, and it makes me feel a lot more calm, and I'm able to surrender a lot better. So a lot of times when you guys call me and tell me you're in labor, I go and I start praying because it's helpful to keep me calm and centered, and to prepare me to support you on the journey, because I do see it as a spiritual journey. And so, so I started out that way. So there's so many different things you could do. I'm a big fan of drive-in movies. There's not a lot of drive-in theaters, but if I were in labor, I would go to a drive-in theater and watch a movie for as long as I could. Just take my blanket and my pillow and just sit there and my favorite snacks and watch a movie at the drive-in, where I could lay outside and watch a movie. But I'm different like that. I enjoyed some really interesting things. Or I would read a book, or I would bake, because I don't necessarily enjoy baking, but I do enjoy sweets. So that would be something I would do. Or I'd go out to dinner, or I'd go to my favorite coffee shop and read a book. So it's up to you. You know, it depends on where you are and what's going on. You might prefer to just stay home, but prepare to weather the early stages. Prepare for there to be a time period. Generally, not everybody's birth will not proceed in this manner. Every woman is different, and you know yourself better than anyone. But in most cases, it's a journey. Okay, if you're a first-time mom, I will tell you, moms call me one day and say they think they're in labor, and then sometimes they call me the next day, okay, and they're still in labor. All right, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm telling you, sometimes the first time you have a baby, it can take a while. We can talk more about that. This is not the case for every single woman. We are all different. We're all individuals, but generally speaking, it can take a long time. Okay, so be prepared that when you realize you're in labor, that is not the end. It is just the beginning. And this video is getting very long. I'm going to come back with a part 2 because I want to go more into this. I feel like this is extremely important. And I feel like in the past, I haven't ran the point home enough about the early stages and what needs to be done. So we'll talk more about the early stages and how to weather the uncertainty and the excitement of that time period. All right, I will see you guys on the next video.